Chris, you were touching on earlier when we were talking about the Chapter 7 bankruptcy. You wanted to touch on some stuff about, people in bankruptcy filing short sale and why that's a benefit.
Sure. Well, what a lot of folks don't understand is that even though they bankrupt and what's called a surrender property, the bank still has to foreclose to take title to it. And so what ends up happening is that you have a bankruptcy and then a foreclosure at some point. Well, for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which is what percentage of the mortgage is?
Huge. I mean,
99%.
yeah, a lot.
So whatever they say goes. And so right now, Fannie and Freddie say that they'll give you what, a loan 2 or so years after a bankruptcy, but 5 from a foreclosure. And so if you file bankruptcy and then the bank takes another year to foreclose, it's plus 5 from that year. And so you're from the date of filing the bankruptcy, you're 6 years away from being able to buy another property. So if you file bankruptcy and then
short sell,
you never had the foreclosure. And so unfortunately, a lot of folks file bankruptcy and then disengage. And they really shouldn't. They should call someone like you and say, hey, I want to improve my credit. I want to get on. Bankruptcy is about a fresh start. And so folks really should think about doing a short sale at some point.
Even after they filed, because of their ability to recover afterwards.
Sure, absolutely.
So if you've got questions about this, give us a call, 990-9352 in Hillsborough, 461-9352 in Pinellas, and toll free, 1-800-969-9352. We do have a lot of homeowners that do that, that come and say, I've already wrapped it in and I've already done that, but got good advice from an attorney like you, and several of them that we've helped were clients that we both worked on together, and it's the right way to go about it. And there's some additional steps you have to go through, but nonetheless, their recovery and ability to buy again, and like I mentioned in the show earlier, we're helping people right now that short sold a few years ago. So you know that the system has already delivered that. It will continue to happen 2 to 3 years down the line. If you do the right things, you're gainfully employed, you work on your credit, you do some things here and there, you can buy a home again.
And what a pain-free short sale it is, because the bankruptcy eliminates your deficiency. So the bank is prohibited under federal law from asking you for money. They cannot ask you for money. And the bankruptcy is a blanket exclusion against 1099 income. So there is no tax ramification. So on the back end of a bankruptcy, doing a short sale, the only thing that matters is whether or not the contract that you procured as the agent is fair market value.
Right. So you just have to get a good enough price to satisfy them. Other than that, it's because those are the hassles of a short sale. Requests for promissory or financial contribution from the seller, risk of deficiency, frustrations with all the documentation that you have to provide about your income and assets, because they want to see, do you have money that we can get from you? And that's another thing why we really on our real estate team, I wouldn't say we force the client to talk to an attorney, but we really prompt and promote it, because it's important for them to know whether or not they're making the right move. A lot of times people will go and say, oh, I need to short sell my house. Well, how can you possibly know that you need to short sell your house if you haven't talked to someone that, maybe they need to do bankruptcy, maybe they need to do something else. And I'd much rather have them talk to an attorney that can say, yeah, you should file bankruptcy, or you shouldn't do a short sale until you do this, or, best, give them good advice about whatever assets or whatever they have, to make sure they're not opening themselves up to liability by thinking they know what is best for them. They may not.
And even coming into our office, working with yours, we always offer free consultations with the attorney. So the beauty of it as well is it's all attorney-client privilege. So anything that's said in that room stays in that room, and that's our fiduciary duty. And so a lot of folks are uncomfortable necessarily disclosing all the facts of their life, but without talking about it, they might be a terrible short sale.
Or they may do something that ends up opening them up to something much, much worse later on in the process by not having taken that step up front to protect them.
Absolutely.